hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, sure can. The Road, the Stage returns with an interview in just a few minutes. But until then, I'm Patrick Bateman. This is Peter Michaels.
What are we doing now?
We're hanging out again.
Okay, cool.
A week later.
A week has passed, and man, has it ever been a busy week.
It has been.
Did you watch that show?
Yes.
Yeah.
What show?
Did you know the show that
The
you
show
watched last week?
I watched the show, The Bluestones, Broken Love, Low Hum, which I don't know if I'd mentioned it on the previous podcast. Probably not, but my brother went and saw this show in London, Ontario.
Yep.
Just a few weeks ago.
And what did he have to say about Low Hum? Low Hum, I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, he liked it a lot.
Yeah?
He liked it a lot. Especially like the Bluestones. I think they've got some really groovy tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what they do and we haven't seen them live. You haven't seen them live.
The Bluestones? Yep.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
right. You would have. Yeah.
Field Day, I want to say. Yeah.
He was very impressed with what they accomplished with just two people.
Yes. Yeah,
So.
It's incredible. And yeah, so their new album is fantastic, Pretty Monsters.
Mhm.
And Broken Love has a new album. Both have come out within the last 3-4 weeks,
Right,
give or
yep.
take. And just kind of different ends of the rock and roll spectrum, but both very modern
Yes.
and both very kick-ass.
I did see that the Bluestones have that LA Afterlife song on their set list, which
Do they?
that's
Yeah.
my favorite song of theirs. So.
Yeah. And have you listened to the album, Pretty Monsters?
Yep.
Yeah, there's some vibes. Some of that vibe is
totally.
snuck into the new
Totally.
stuff for sure.
Very sonically soothing.
And then, so what else are we gonna have coming up?
Good God. Christmas. The greatest show of all, Santa Claus.
Who's in his band?
I don't know, nine degenerates with hooves.
Degenerate elves. Do you?
Are there 9 reindeer?
We might have talked about this last year too, but do you have a Christmas movie? Is there anything that you?
Oh, great question. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to guess?
Apocalypse Now.
No, but if I can consider that a Christmas movie. You mean specifically holiday themed or a movie that I watch at Christmas?
Yes, holiday themed.
Okay. Yeah, I got an answer for you.
Okay, and it is
Sound of Music.
for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I can't go too wrong with that choice.
Are you a big musical fan?
No, but I mean it's as classic as it gets, and it's better than a bunch of the other really cheesy stuff. Right?
I don't know. I'm sure I'll get some flack from a ton of people on whether that's actually a holiday movie. I don't think it is a holiday movie, but there is I believe there's a Christmas celebration in it. So
Is there not isn't my favorite things? Isn't that
yeah, it might be a Christmas.
a big Christmas?
Yeah, I guess it is.
I think that
I guess
gets
it
pulled
is.
out of Christmas fairly often.
But I guess also I don't think about that movie for anything holiday related. So
Correct. Yeah.
maybe it's a bit of a hack answer.
No, it fits.
Yours is Vacation, obviously. Christmas Vacation.
No.
It isn't.
No.
I thought it would be.
Oh,
Well,
no,
I mean,
that's
look at your fucking house.
It's one of my least favorite vacation movies. If
Actually-
I'm being honest.
Oh, your least favorite vacation movies.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Is it Elf?
Definitely not Elf. I'm not.
What's the one where
I'm not a
Santa?
Christmas guy.
It turns out Santa's actually the devil.
Well, I mean, that's more along the right vein of things.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Ryley? No, it's not Krampus. It's older than that. I think it's more in line with like Bad Santa time. Like I think it's like 15 years ago. But I think basically you find out that Beelzebub is actually Santa Claus, and this is the year he's coming back to fucking kill everybody.
Okay, well, I gotta look for that one. Last year, I enjoyed Fat Man.
Oh, I
Which
forgot about that. Yeah, I still haven't
unfortunately
seen
has
that.
Mel in it, which will overlook that part for a minute.
Mel, listen, Mel's probably feeling pretty good these days in that he's the least popular anti-Semite around at the moment.
I guess there are others that have definitely
There's others with
taken
louder
that
voices and bigger platforms
beloved
at the moment.
Mel plays Santa,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a kid who gets coal for Christmas who hires a hitman, which is Walton Goggins, which I know you
Right.
appreciate Walton's
Yeah.
work. So Walton Goggins is hired to kill Santa, but Santa fights back.
And he sure does, because as we all know, Santa is an extremely effective killer. Oh! I didn't get the link. God damn it. I'm just
Okay, so we're just
we're a million here today.
we're awaiting. This is crack number 4, so we've broken, I think, our 3-strike rule.
This is like 3.5.
3.5. We'll consider this 3.5. While Patrick lines that up, I will thank Sawback Brewing Company, Bose Bar and Stage, Go Services Inc., Ryan and Ryley here at Communal Creative Studios that make all of this magic happen.
Sorry, I'm messaging our guest.
No, take your time.
From the road the stage. Okay. We might be good to go shortly. Might be good to go shortly.
How long does this take to travel through the interwebs to, I'm assuming, Vancouver?
I think
we're going to Vancouver, I think, for today's.
Yeah, I think it might be Vancouver. We'll find out. Hey, Patrick, it's day. Oh, fuck, I don't know what's going on. It's Monday. It's Monday. All right.
It's Monday in the future.
So your favorite is Fat Man.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have one, but I enjoyed that last
Are your
year.
decorations already up?
It started yesterday. It's a process.
Yeah, I mean, you got
need
9 days to.
I might need the rest of this.
Of what? Of the week? Of the month?
Of the week, for sure.
Yeah. To get your house looking a little more like Beau's Barn stage with the Winterlust festivities.
I could never throw up Christmas the exact same way. That's a special kind.
I have a fond memory last year of helping at Beau's where we were putting these, I don't know, what would you call those platforms that we hooked up to the ceiling? They're like wire platforms that we filled with Christmas balls and decorations, and they hang from the ceiling. Was it as complicated this year as it was last year?
Did all that shit kind of stay together and just stored somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so a little easier this year.
Yeah, and those Christmas decorations were tough. They took a beating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they took a beating.
Well, because we did talk about a few shows that happened. But that's right, because I kind of remember. I think people could kind of reach them.
Could they? I don't know. Maybe.
I kind of remember there being something that I was like, oh, that's coming down. But
no, those things were sturdy, very, very sturdy.
What are your qualifications when it comes to doing that work?
Looks good.
Looks good.
Oh my God. Come on now.
Are we having link issues?
Well, we shouldn't be. Pretty sure I got the email right. I did. Anyways,
do we talk about our guests in hopes that maybe if we say nice things, he will magically appear?
This interview, it's been funny preparing for this because I've followed this guy for a while. We've tried this interview a couple times, and I kind of just want to ask him if he's a goof. Because
I think he is.
I think he might be a goof.
I think there's a certain persona that might be perceived based on the music that he delivers.
Beautiful music.
Beautiful, gorgeous, and
I think he's a wordsmith too.
Wordplay
guy.
But that's the first thing as I'm watching some of his social media stuff, I'm like, no, this guy's like an animal.
He put out a video like 3 weeks ago before his Red Deer show. You know that fucking pointy thing on TikTok?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the exact one.
I've probably watched that video 7 or 8 times because it makes me howl.
It's so funny.
So should I do it? Should I just say, hey, Jordan, I'm Patrick. Are you a goof?
Yes, I think that's probably the best way to straight up do it. And I bet you and we'll find out as well. He was in some rock bands previous to this line of
Calgary.
Work. Like, I just feel like, again, this is a guy that you would listen to and you'd look and you'd go and you're like he's probably a death metal head.
He's also a writer. He wrote on Deer Rouge Tourist Company.
Well, I think
and we're gonna find out.
That's all the questions I had.
Any of this we said is right shortly. Wrapped up our F1 fantasy yesterday.
And did you,
4th place, man.
You didn't take
so close.
What
so
close. Is there a trophy? What's the?
Yeah, there is actually a trophy.
There?
Yeah, we got a trophy made.
Of course there is.
Cool guys, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into it. Hello.
We hear something.
Jordan? Oh my God.
Wow.
I am.
Look at this.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm all right. So sorry about that, man. What a flake.
It's all good. It's all good. We kind of had a feeling that maybe that's what happened, and I'm glad I reached out.
And let's be honest, it's not the first time a time zone has caused us a little bit of concern, a little issue. It's all good.
I believe it.
And you still made it. You still made it. You have your video ready. You knew it was a video podcast. I mean, you're already succeeding more than some of our guests.
Yeah, I am also realizing that since it's a video podcast, you can see the disaster that is my studio.
Well, I was just going to say, like, are we just coming home from something? Are we getting ready to leave for something? We got road cases. Is that a suitcase kind of tucked behind the couch there?
No, I had a rehearsal last night, so everything was just taken out. And
Rehearsal for Jordan Klassen.
yeah, I have a show in Vancouver on Saturday.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Yeah, is my audio okay? I'm just making, it's not fuzzy or anything.
No, I think
No,
it's
I think-
pretty good. I
Okay,
haven't
Cool.
noticed anything wrong.
cool.
Well, yeah. Again, thanks for hanging out. I'm Patrick Bateman. This is Peter Michaels. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
We were saying because I have it's a pretty strict rule of 3 strikes or the interview's not going to happen, and we never want this to be an obligatory experience for our guest.
Yeah.
So we're cutting it pretty close. This is, as far as I'm concerned, we're at 3.5 with you today.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're
Stick the course.
you're free to fuck off at any point if you want.
No, this is great.
I think it just means we got like shit's happening, right? It was a summer thing that was I
Yeah,
think
the
there was an
Yukon Blonde
illness
show,
that was
right?
during the Yukon Blonde show.
Yeah.
And then you were just in our town like 3 weeks ago at Red Heart Brewing.
Yeah, like less than 24 hours after our major snowstorm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what a disastrous weekend that was.
Yeah, was it?
Besides, the show was great, but other than that, it was like just thing after thing. Our vehicle got broken into in Red Deer.
No.
Oh no.
Luckily, we left all our gear at Red Heart the night before. Otherwise, we would have been really screwed.
Ah,
Like
shit.
where did it just got broken into? Like, were you staying at a hotel or?
Yeah, at the Radisson.
Oh
And,
shit.
I think some kid, like a bunch of the windows in the parking lot were smashed. So I think some kids just went around and smashing windows.
Man, I think back to my days as a douchebag teenager, and I
Yeah,
don't know if we
never-
ever smashed
no.
windows.
Like, was there a shit pile of snow in the vehicle then? If it,
Yeah, it was a rental though.
Okay.
So yeah.
they'll deal with it.
How many people did you bring here for that show? It wasn't just a solo gig, was it?
No, yeah. I often when I'm on the road, I'll do drums and then keyboards, and then I play with in-ears into tracks. So the low end will just be in the tracks, honestly. It's just more affordable. It's so expensive. Like the leap from 3 people to 4 is like a lot more because you have to get 2 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had 3.
Yeah, I mean, and specifically to Glossolalia, like it's a pretty diversely sounding record. Like there's a lot of flourish, if I might use that word.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about translating that to stage? Obviously, you have tracks, so it must be pretty good, right? Like you're not sacrificing too much.
Yeah, I don't think so. We're also just kind of like the keyboards are pretty versatile now. Like we're not just, I mean, I don't want to get too techy or anything, but we're not just like plugging in, and using like a keyboard sound. We're actually going through our laptops and using like software that's, so a lot of the stuff's like multiple patches that fills out a lot of the space. So yeah, I mean, with technology, it's really easy to do a lot with a few people now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's not something I think we've really talked about too much on this show ever, is that the cost of just bringing in a 4th member instead of a 3rd on a smaller tour.
I just had this conversation on the weekend with somebody talking about a 5-piece band that had come through, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine. Because it's not just the 5-piece band. You're also sometimes going to be bringing a sound guy along and a merch guy along, and so a 5-piece band becomes an 8-9 person traveling crew. Gas costs, food costs, everything is and all got to be considered when you go out on tour, right?
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, especially right now, like they say, someone was saying that show attendance in North America is down by like 70%.
7
big.
Sorry,
Wow.
7-0.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Wow.
And so it's harder and harder to make it. Like my goal is always just to break even. I see touring kind of as almost like a more kind of promotional thing, a marketing thing that's connect with, people who listen to my music. And so, yeah, my goal is just to like not lose money, but that is just becoming almost impossible.
But
now.
I think isn't tour like the thought, at least the perception I have is that touring is where artists are making their money. So that's not even so what do you do now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that a lot of artists are making any money right now. I think like I do other things. So I score
Right.
film as like kind of my day job. and that is way more lucrative. Royalties are still a big thing. Radio play, satellite radio. But even that, like the CBC3 just folded.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's harder and harder. It used to be, for a long time, it was all about sync for me. So I had someone who was pitching my music for film and TV.
Mm-hmm.
Those price tags were really big, but it's like in the last 5 years, I'd say it's become so saturated. Like there are people, like thousands of people in Nashville and LA who are their whole job is just to write music that will get placed,
Mm-hmm.
So it's harder and harder for artists who are just, making records they like to have their music placed in film and TV.
And how is the scene still good in Vancouver for TV and film? Booming fairly well?
Big
Yeah,
time.
well, like especially for composing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like tax credits and stuff. They like it's Hollywood North here. So there's a lot of business for scoring, and I'm really busy with that. So
that's
that
your,
end,
you say that's your day job. Like what is there anything that we could keep our ears open for in terms of your work in film and television? Like recently, I guess.
Yeah, do you like Hallmark movies?
Oh man, I've only watched 6 already this Christmas season.
Yeah, we do a lot of Hallmarks. We do lots of documentaries too. We're doing a documentary about from
Yeah. Is that a pro or a pro documentary?
I don't know. I think I might have signed an NDA, so I don't really know.
We'll figure that out and totally wipe this part. Interesting. That's cool, man. Like, how do you feel about that as your day job? How, like, your days feel pretty fun or fulfilling?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I started out kind of, I think lucky in that I knew that I would have to kind of have my fingers in like a lot of different pies to make this work as my full-time job. So I started out with a lot of producing, and I don't know how much I actually really like producing, I found. And so score is great because you work on your own schedule. It's still creative, but it kind of exercises the more like puzzle building part of your creativity. It's like, it's not necessarily being like, oh, like what do I think is awesome? It's more like, what do I need to do to make this scene work and make the director happy?
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually I'm a pretty analytical guy, and I like that kind of stuff, strategy and all that. So it kind of exercises that muscle, which I really like. So it is really fulfilling. And also it's great because, sometimes there's just, I mean, like I said, it's really lucrative. So I can, work for 2 weeks, make like a third of what I'm going to make all year.
Wow.
And just take the rest of the month off, or, that kind of thing. So I like it a lot.
And then are you like, you keep your finger on the pulse of current films and what's going into scores for them? Like, do you have a favorite film score of the year?
Oh man, that's a good question. We're watching The White Lotus right now.
Yeah, I haven't started that second season, but first season the music was amazing.
Yeah, it's like, I like that it's like each season takes place at a different resort, and the music kind of reflects the country or the
region.
Yeah, the region. So this one's in Italy, but it's still really weird and quirky, but like they incorporate a lot of opera into it, and I love that kind of stuff, like kind of using a source that has a lot of authenticity, but then kind of fucking with it a bit to make it, I don't know, just interesting.
Yeah, unique.
Yeah.
And I imagine every project's probably a little bit different, but are you basically given a mandate of make it sound like this, or do you have you can play around with it a little bit and go back to a director and think, I think it works good this way? Or is it just straight up?
It really depends on the project, like there's that whole kind of, I mean, I think everybody wants to do like the whole, I don't know if you've heard about like Johnny Greenwood and There Will Be Blood. Basically, I think the director just shot the whole movie without any clue about music, and then just gave Johnny Greenwood the movie and was like, here you go. And he just wrote everything. And I mean, I'm sure there was some collab going, like, to iron out the details, but that kind of thing is like the dream. But it's not often like that. It's more often like the director will have like a playlist of music that they're like, this is the vibe.
Yeah.
The influence.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I am glad you brought up Greenwood, but I always find it funny from my perspective only. I'm only saying this for myself. I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I do think that they are one of the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think Greenwood will probably come out as one of the better film composers ever. Like, I really do believe that. And it's just funny to me that it's Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead that I feel that strongly about. So there's a little bias, but I still think it's objective.
No, I totally agree.
His scores, like, have you heard his from that Lynn Ramsey movie, You Were Never Really Here? It's with Joaquin.
No.
It is one of the wildest, like, it's much like There Will Be Blood. There's parts that are meant to make you feel uneasy or tense, and then there's just pure beauty involved as well. It's like his shit is remarkable.
Yeah.
And when you're building these scores, what I'm curious, do you have, like, if you got a big screen that you're kind of watching it on, or you just on a small monitor when you're getting the feel for all of that?
Watermarks.
Right there. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get. Usually, what happens is that we'll get the cut, we call it, and then by the way, music is in film. Music is kind of it's like the bottom of the barrel. Like, it's the last thing. It's the thing that always gets the budget cuts. So often nothing's on time, and we'll be like, you have 3 days. Here's the final cut. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get the cut, and then they'll have the audio. We'll have a split track, we call it. So on the left side, there's the dialogue, and on the right side is temp music.
Yeah.
So they'll kind of just place in there kind of a vibe they like. Sometimes they'll be like, just copy the temp. And other times it'll be like just kind of an inspiration. So it totally depends on the project. Yeah.
That sounds like it. From my side of things, it sounds like a really fun job.
Yeah, it does.
It is. Yeah. I love it.
And you do that from your place in Vancouver?
Yeah, I have a studio here. As you can see, it's usually looks better than this, but yeah, I do it from here in Vancouver. And then I also, like I was saying, film doesn't take up, like, I'm not working 8 hours a day. So then I also obviously am working on my artist project too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of business to take care of and songs to write.
As you say, you diversify a little bit. Do you do any voiceover stuff?
No, that's nothing. I have friends here who do it. It's like a big industry in Vancouver. No, I never have. It's, actually the guy who's playing drums for me on Saturday, he's getting into voiceover, and he was just talking about how it is, like, it's just a really like, it's a steep learning curve. Like, there's a lot to learn, and more than you would ever think. Like, you have to like, because no one can see your face, especially if you're doing cartoons. And so everything is just in the voice, all the expression, and just learning how to hold back and give. He said it's, like, actually super complicated. And
What could you compare it to singing at all? Like, because vocally you got to do the same thing, right? You're trying to emote what your lyrics are about.
Confidence is a huge thing.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I mean, I've written a few. I wrote, the Princess, or what is it called? Pinecone and Pony. It's an Apple TV cartoon.
No.
It's based on The Princess and the Pony by Kate Beaton.
Okay.
But anyway, I did some score work on that, and I wrote, or with some of my partners, we wrote the end credits song, and I sang on it. I don't know if you want to go watch an episode and go skip to the end. And
I will.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, it's it was interesting how long it took for us to get the vocal right, just because in my music, I think it's just kind of more, I just do it till it feels right,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is kind of like, can you say that word like a little more fragilely, and because it's so specific to an emotion and how they wanted to kind of convey the motif of the series or whatever.
It has to match that character, obviously, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so can we take it back, Jordan? Can we go way back? You alluded to earlier that you have some knowledge about this industry and the things that the way that works, like the touring. Is that because of the experience you've gained from your family in the music industry?
What do you know about my family?
Well, I believe your mother
mom.
is a very accomplished Canadian singer-songwriter. Is that not correct?
Yeah, she doesn't do it anymore, but she was a sorry, give me 1 second here. I think this alarm is going off. Okay. Like a Christian kind of, I guess it was like at the time we called it world music. But I don't think it's very PC anymore. But yeah, it was kind of like, she was kind of like the Christian Enya a little bit.
And do you was this happening when you were a small boy?
Yeah. A lot of my worst memories are like sitting in a church while my mom sold CDs.
All across the country, or just like
the church tours.
Yeah, she would she thinks back to, and like, or she'll ask me like, how many records did you sell at the show? And I'll be like, 10. She's like 100 was a bad night for her.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been to a few church shows in my day, and people like to buy that merch.
Yeah. But anyway, to answer your question, I think it certainly did affect my kind of interest in the arts. And I think also, like, my parents were stoked, when I was like, this is the path I want to take. From an early age, I knew I wanted to make music. And so I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of kind of tension there and pressure to get a real job, but
did they encourage the music? Were they throwing guitars and stuff at you to help you go that route?
They loved it. And I remember like we had to take some kind of musical lessons. So I had piano lessons.
How early? How old did you start?
Like, I think I was probably 6 or 7.
That's not too bad. It's not like 2 years old.
Yeah, no.
Prodigy.
Yeah. You will be a prodigy.
But I think just, I mean, it could be in my genes or whatever, but I just always was interested in making things, and not even necessarily music. I just liked, being creative. And so music kind of, I think when I was in high school, music was really cool, It's how you got babes. So yeah, that was kind of the path I took. And so I never went to post-secondary. I never, I always just played in bands and wrote songs.
So, and do you feel yourself very like theory knowledgeable? Is like, did you gather that through piano lessons and stuff over the years?
Yeah. I would suggest, I think every musician should take some piano lessons, because it's just such a theory-based instrument,
Yeah.
Guitar can feel more like shape-based, you can get by just like learning the shapes, but not really with piano, because you have to know your scales to know your chords.
It's the practical visual like theory instrument.
Yes, exactly.
For sure. Interesting. That's okay. So, and then like Pete and I were talking about it earlier. So you did grow up a little bit in Calgary, or?
Yeah. So we moved to Calgary, and right after grade 9, I went there I went to high school there. I went to Bowness.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my mom was raised in Bowness. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
know
nice.
that area well.
I don't think they would have crossed paths.
They definitely wouldn't have crossed paths. No.
So, and then that's when you were playing in rock bands?
Even before that, actually, like in grade 8 and 9, I started my first band, and then.
What were they called?
And what's the logo? We need to see the logo that was drawn on the binders.
They were pretty embarrassing. I think it's like, the Federal Duck was the first one.
That's a great name.
And then we changed it. I was a really big Nickelback fan.
Nice.
Kind of like Nickelback-y rock, so it was like we called Broken Leash.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Edgy.
Yeah. And actually, I moved back, so it's kind of confusing. But after I really didn't want to be in Calgary, so I graduated early and moved back to Vancouver, or Abbotsford actually, and started a band there called Sub Rosa. And then I had kind of some mental health problems, so I moved back to Calgary to be with my family again. And so then I spent like 21 to 26 there.
Oh wow.
And that's where I made my first Jordan Klassen record.
Okay. So post high school, it was, you were pretty dedicated just by the Jordan Klassen project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I want to hit on the Nickelback thing just a little bit, because I don't like, while they're not one of my favorite bands, I don't hate for any particular reason.
You love Nickelback.
But what I like about the story though is, and I just want to get your take on it, is like, I don't know how you can, especially us as Albertans, can hate on a band that started in a garage in small town Hanna, Alberta, and made it to be the biggest band in the world, which I'm sure as a young artist, that's the dream, right? Like, you want to come out of the garage and take over, and they did that, and they're from small town Alberta. How do you ever shit on that?
Yeah, totally.
Watch me.
I think there's always some kind of credibility with success, but then there's also, I think you can emphasize that, and I think that needs to be more emphasized now.
Yeah.
The idea that, like, you know, if people love it all around the world, there's something to it, you know. But then there's also the side that, like, is it just kind of the, like, McDonald's of music, you know?
Right.
Is it kind of like easy, throwing people just kind of the easiest scraps that they'll kind of feed on? So I don't know. I try to take a balance. I don't hate Nickelback either. I sometimes I feel a little cringe when I listen to them.
But before that, I mean, because it moved there eventually. Yeah. But as they were coming up, I mean, that honestly, you go back to that first album, which
people weren't shitting on them when
wasn't
Silver Side Up, or that's what it's called.
Silver Side Up, and the album before that, I think it had some pretty decent. It wasn't the, like, McDonald's of rock is a great way to put it, but it wasn't that. And again, that's, to me, I like to focus more so on that, from where they became and what they did after, whatever. But to have, you know, and again, especially as a young musician, like, I think how great is that to have is, yes, I can do it. I can be in this garage in my small town and I can do it.
Well, and it was
attainable
music too. Like, there's nothing particularly technically.
Well, then let's go. What did you love about it? What made them a band that you enjoyed at that age? Well, go back to why you got hooked on them.
Man, I don't know. I think part of it, you know, so much of taste is actually social, and I thought that there's a rock station here called the Fox, and that's what all my friends listened to, and they played lots of Nickelback in those early years, because I actually think that's how Nickelback got their start. They won the Fox Seeds contest.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of it was just kind of like, this is cool music. And then, I don't know, just, I think that Chad Kroeger's a great melody writer. I think he's got like a lot of, I think the lyrics are like the cringiest part of it for me, but and you know, it's actually like a cool science too, like how they make those songs is like no, they don't actually play any of the chords like in real time. I've heard it's like they almost just like create a sample base of so it can be just like perfect in every way.
Yeah.
Like, and they just like drag the chords into like where they're supposed to go and stuff, you know, like
holy shit,
which is like not my thing, but it is interesting. It's an interesting kind of scientific way.
I was just gonna say there's some science behind it.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I can't say I expected to get into the but like, no.
Sorry to take us down that road.
It's just they're very easy targets. They've been very easy targets for a long time now. I agree that I think it's unnecessary to attack them to the level that they are attacked, because taste is subjective. When I was in grade 7 or 8 when that record came out, it was amazing. And I'm sure as an adult at that time, that record was the best of that type of music of that year, right? Like, it wasn't particularly original,
right?
But it was quality. There's a reason why they got to be so successful. And yeah, I think you're right. The credibility issue is just like a lot of people like to shit on that.
Some formula, yeah.
But that being said, after listening to Glossolalia a lot, not sure I would have pegged you as the genesis of Jordan Klassen involved Nickelback.
Yeah, well, I think when I was around grade 11, my family went to London, and I bought. Actually, I think what it was I had heard "I Might Be Wrong" by Radiohead on the Fox, and so I bought Kid A and Amnesiac, and then that was kind of like the turning point for me, where I was like, oh, this can be really challenging, like in a good way. I can be challenged by my music tastes, and then I kind of threw away all my old rock predispositions. Yeah.
I don't think I've I don't know if I've ever talked about this with anyone, but Amnesiac was the first full Radiohead album I ever listened to.
Yeah.
And it is a straight up electronic album, pretty much. Like, it is pretty wild and wacky. And years later, after getting really big into the band and starting to learn more about them and understanding how polarizing that album was from a band that started off as a pretty typical rock band, I think a lot of people shy away from that record too. But yeah, so that's interesting. That was one of the first full-length experiences you had with Radiohead too. Do you think that led to you, like, that's a huge expansion from typical rock music, specifically Amnesiac?
Yeah. I don't know what it was about it. I think what it was like, I've always been, I still am actually, just into like, I love like fantasy, and I love the idea of just kind of like creating another world, and that's kind of what I felt like they did there. Like, I was transported to this like kind of other place. It wasn't just supposed to like reflect my life, like something like country music is essentially that. It's just kind of like supposed to make you feel nostalgic and
relatable.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like takes you somewhere else that you.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
like provokes your imagination in some way. And that really turned me on to that kind of thing. And I mean, in some ways, that's kind of what I try to do with my records too, is not just kind of not just reflect real life experiences or my reality as it is, but try and imagine a different reality altogether.
We were joking around before you hopped on, and there's a TikTok or a video you made a few weeks ago that I think I've watched 8 times. Pete knew exactly what I was talking about when I brought it up. Are you a bit of a goof, Jordan?
Oh, I'm a super goof.
Do you know what video we're talking about? Where you're,
No,
the whole pointing trend?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think the thing is, like, to be an artist, you have to engage with social media, and I find social media in general very cringy, and I spend a lot of time like being really annoyed with people on it. And so I'm like, maybe my thing could just be to like kind of make fun of social media a little bit, but still get the word out,
That video is so good,
Mission
man.
accomplished.
So, okay, so you run through the thought process. I need to be attached to social media. I need to keep up to some trends to a certain degree. So what's the start of this? Oh, I need to do one of these pointy video things, and I'm going to do it all very off time and awkwardly?
Yeah. I think it's like, I mean, it probably comes from a bad place, honestly. It's kind of like watching other people do it and just feeling like really judgmental about them and being like, you take yourself too seriously. I don't know. I just find that I just think that like my sense of humor is always around kind of people failing at things and not being good at, and so, I mean, yeah, that's kind of like that's what I'm trying to engage with, this idea of just kind of like trying to be cool or trying to be social media savvy, but like failing really bad.
So good.
That's perfect.
So you're a bit of a troll.
Yeah, maybe it is troll. Yeah.
Because like I'm watching that and I watched it over and over again, and it just like really, there's just something knowing that it felt like I was part of something that most people weren't aware of, because you know that a ton of people who are probably unfamiliar with you, maybe some of them are, watched that and thought, fucked it up.
Poor guy. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't. He doesn't know how to do this.
Again, that judgmental point comes around, and you're totally being judged on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I think that I'm actually not. I think I've just engaged with the fact that I'm just bad at some things, and it feels good to just embrace it.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'm not good. Like, I mean, another thing people talk about all the time, and it's like networking and schmoozing. It's like I'm just really bad at it. I've tried really hard, but I'm just not that kind of guy. And so when I'm at an industry event or something, I just kind of embrace it. I'm like, I tell people that, you know, maybe I don't want to be there, or that it's awkward, and make fun of it and stuff. So,
but it makes the rest of the night easier, though, right? Like, to get that out of the way, and now you don't have to try to pretend to be somebody that you're not.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now, just out of curiosity, with going back to the TV and the film scores, then, do you have like an agent that helps you get that, or because a lot of that would be done through networking, would it not?
That's true. Yeah, I think with the kind of temperament that I have is like I'm really good when I have like equity built with someone and real relationships. Like I really hate small talk, but if there's like kind of a long-standing relationship, then it's great. So it's kind of a long story, but the company that I work with, it's me and my friend Taylor and my friend Will, and it was started by someone else, and they kind of gained a lot of the contacts, and now, because we have all these long-standing relationships with different producers and production companies, it's easy. It's great. But I'm not the guy who you should like send to like LA to like go knock at, you know, NBC's door or something. Yeah.
Although at the end of the day, maybe you are, right? Because there's so many, and I'm sure most of those people can see through all the fakeness of people to just be real.
Some people can, for sure.
I guess some people.
Some people can. I just, the thought of someone, a real TikToker watching that video, being like, that's so, just didn't do it properly.
He needs a social media manager.
You didn't get any requests? Any suggestions?
Well, no. I get a lot of spam, but no, I didn't get any. No.
And so the record's been out for a while now. It's April, right? Early April, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Are you, with the tours that you've done in the last, whatever it is, 7 or 8 months, are you ready to put that record to bed, or are you still hoping to ride it out for a bit longer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do want to ride. I mean, obviously we all know the last few years have been very weird.
Mm-hmm.
I put out a record in 2020 as well called Tell Me What to Do. And that one, I think I released it like a week before like Black Lives Matter kind of really broke out.
So summer of 2020?
The end of May.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, I'm not complaining. It's nobody's fault, but it was like the worst time to do an album. And so, and I really love that record too. But in some ways I feel like it never really got to the attention that it deserves. Mm-hmm. Also, it's just the pandemic and people were learning how to cope with it, and I could endure it. So I feel like that for both of those records. So these shows I'm actually almost treating like a release show for Glossolalia and Tell Me What to Do. Yeah, I don't know. It's also, I think that the idea of releasing music has changed a lot in the last few years. I think I don't necessarily think it's so centered around the release anymore as it was when I started. There's more, you know, something can get picked up and put in like a big playlist or something, and then suddenly it's, you know, even if it's, you know, a year old. So the other thing too is that I kind of did the Kid A amnesiac thing with Glossolalia, where I got a big grant. I went to the studio and I recorded like 22 songs or something.
Oh.
And so Glossolalia is the first collection of those songs.
Sick.
And there will be another one that's kind of like a sister record called Marginalia, which will be out next late spring, maybe.
Okay, cool. That's
awesome.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a good way to keep that momentum going of an album.
Yeah, and then how do you decide what to split into which part?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of it was just kind of like for Glossolalia, I just kind of took a few songs I knew I wanted to be on it, and then just tried to make something that felt cohesive and complement itself. And so actually Marginalia has been a bit of a challenge because it feels a little bit like B-sides, but
okay.
But I went to the studio and did a few more songs to kind of try and glue it together and make it feel like it fit. Yeah.
And did you get to work with actual string sections?
Yeah. My friends Brian and Caleb are actually the guys I did Pinecone and Pony with. They're composers here, but they're cello and violin player, and they're amazing at writing arrangements. So yeah, I worked with them a bunch, and then there's also a quartet I hired for Glossolalia, but I always work with real strings. I don't think I've ever used fake strings.
Not even in the spec process, or like when you're trying to.
Oh yeah, in the spec process.
Okay.
And yeah, all the quartet stuff I wrote the arrangements, so that was all written on MIDI before they played it.
So can you actually write like the composition like made for sheet music, or is that like a kind of a transcript? Oh, you can. Okay, wow, cool.
Yeah, I think with most, I use Logic, but in Logic you just draw in the notes. There's lots of automation and stuff you have to do, but yeah, then you can just click score and it will give you the score. Print it out.
And I mean, this may be a little aggressive in the way I'll put it, but I realized, because I've been listening to the record a lot and I really think it's fantastic, but I do think that if I were to ever try heroin, Pangea is exactly what I'd hear. I really do.
Pangea is exactly what you'd what?
What I'd hear if I ever tried heroin.
Oh yeah, nice.
I think
that's exactly what you had in mind.
I think that'd be a
right?
pretty good like sink into the couch or bed on the highest you've ever been song.
Yeah, it is kind of like lazy like that, isn't it? It's just like
I didn't say lazy, Jordan. I didn't say lazy.
I know what you mean. It's kind of got that like veg out kind of feel.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm glad that wasn't, you didn't just leave, because I don't know how.
Not at all.
I've never thought about that comparison with a song before, but
Now,
I was like, man, this song is like just dreamy.
If you don't show up for our next interview, I know what's going on.
I also know you put out a playlist of was it songs that inspired the writing process?
Yeah.
And I'd already, the first time I'd listened, I thought about Aldous Harding quite a bit. Who is?
Yeah.
Have you seen her perform before?
Never live. No.
Me neither, and I don't know what I would expect from it. Her music is so beautifully haunting and almost creepy at times, but like I don't know, how would you describe her music to someone if you're recommending it to them?
Yeah, I'd be like, I think the funny thing about it is that it's not actually like sonically weird, because it's like actually just really well recorded instruments, like just basic instruments, but just the arrangements and the way she sings, the performances are just bizarre. And so it's this kind of interesting, and that's kind of actually what I mean. I don't think my music's bizarre, but that I like that idea of like taking something that isn't, it's not like Radiohead where it's like they've run it through like 1,000 pedals or whatever. It's like just sounds like a guitar, but maybe you treated it in a weird way, or you just like the arrangement you wrote is just really off-putting. Yeah, and that's kind of maybe how I would describe it. Hers, it's really quirky, actually.
Quirky is a really good word to use. Yeah. That's a really good point.
Not lazy.
Definitely not lazy. It also helps that I think the first time someone showed me Aldous Harding, it was in music video form, and she's got some pretty weird music videos.
Yeah, totally.
But just like remarkably unique, just beautiful music. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, Pete, what do you got?
I'm actually curious because all your road cases behind have all the Fragile stickers and everything on. I know you played Reaper Bond, and we've talked about Reaper Bond with a few other artists that were getting ready to head over there, but you just had that experience. So fill us in on what Reaper Bond is like and what it's all about, heading to Germany and playing with other Canadian acts.
Yeah. I think this is like my 4th time doing it.
Wow.
I've been over there quite a few times, and I think it's like one of the best of those kind of industry festivals. Yeah, I mean, what do I say? Like, I guess it's fun.
Is it like a South by Southwest, or is it a
Yeah,
like?
it's kind of like South by Southwest.
Yeah.
That's what I usually say. It's like the South by Southwest
Or CMW.
Germany. Yeah, or CMW.
So okay,
yeah.
so I saw that CMW opened their applications, their early bird applications yesterday or something. But you say, and you've had some experience at Reaper Bond. Have you done South by before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, once, I think 2015 or something.
Okay, so is there something about Reaper Bond that you think could be done here in our North American industry weeks? Better, differently?
I mean, one of the things is just like kind of logistical, and that just like Reaper Bond is like one street that has like already many venues and many rooms that can be converted into venues, and so a lot of the festival just takes place on this one street.
That helps, yeah.
And then there's just this big open kind of like beer market in the middle of it where you can eat currywurst and drink beer. So it's kind of perfect for that. I don't know if we have anything like that here that would actually work. Like, you know, like CMW is just kind of all the venues in Toronto.
Pretty spread out, yeah.
Like Ubering around or whatever. So that's one of the big differences, I would say. Yeah.
Do you feel that they compensate artists better at a Reaper Bond than elsewhere?
I don't think you get compensated.
At Reaper Bond?
No, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a festival like that. It's like an industry festival. So like to be fair, a lot of it is like, because it's an industry festival and it's made to kind of try to grow artists and connect teams to artists. You go in and because I got like lots of grants,
right,
from the province and from
Factor
the government. So yeah, so it wasn't like I don't think I lost money on the trip, but
you didn't get paid to do a show there.
No, but I mean, I wouldn't really at this point. I don't really expect that anymore.
Yeah,
it's more just kind of like, okay, we really want to connect with this label, and they're going to come to this showcase, and that's worth it for me to go. Especially that Europe is like my main market, and it all kind of fell apart over COVID. So I'm kind of building from square one. So yeah,
with your networking skills.
Yeah, well, I have a manager who's like actually an amazing networker. So.
And all the while drinking authentic German lagers. I imagine the beer end of things was probably fantastic.
It was so good. Yeah, it is so good there.
Surprised you don't have a trip to Germany booked sometime. You've never been there, right?
Never. Well, and I'm Dutch, so
getting
out into that.
Right.
Yes,
right.
I would like to get over there at some point to explore the homeland. And
Holland's a different country, though.
Totally different country. Okay. All the different areas around there, though. Would love to do that sometime.
Yeah.
But yes, actually going to Oktoberfest in Germany.
Yeah. Oof. Be pretty cool.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I've done that before,
you have done that?
Uh-huh. Well, like I happened to be on tour while Oktoberfest was going on.
And is it like, do you have to keep yourself in check? Like, is it tough to let it just?
I mean, when I'm on tour, I don't really be so much per se, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, what I saw was like a lot of teenagers in lederhosen puking on the sidewalk.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
But there's nothing like being in one of those huge tents, you know, where it's like everybody drinking beer and pretzels and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
We'll get you there someday.
Someday.
Do the Road the Stage at Reaper Bond.
Someday. Also the name of a Nickelback song.
The Road the Stage at Reaper Bond?
No, someday.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, what do you got going today? What are we taking you away from? More composition work? Some scoring?
Yeah, I'm scoring a documentary right now. I have some loose ends to put to tie up for my show in Vancouver on Saturday, and then I'm also playing in Victoria on the 10th, December 10th.
Right on.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I also got a VR gaming console.
Like one of those, like the white Quest 2s or whatever?
Yeah, one of those. Like, I feel like, my wife is just like constantly making fun of me because I'm like a 37-year-old man shooting stuff in our living room. But
do you have
I'm spending a lot of time on that.
Have you tried Super Hot yet?
No.
Okay, can you please do me a favor? At least do a little research, because it is. I do a lot of gaming, and that is by far the most unique gaming experience I've ever had. It is a workout too.
Oh yeah,
it's
nice.
fun as fuck. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Super Hot. Check it out.
Okay, will do.
Thanks again for making the time. I know it's been kind of a fuck around getting you on the show over the last few months, but we really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. Make sure you send me a link and I'll share it around.
Yes, this will come out next Wednesday, I believe. So we'll let you know, and we'll bleep out that name you mentioned earlier, just in case.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, Jordan. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great day. Peace. All right, Jordan Klassen. You know, I've been looking forward to that interview for a long time. I didn't know if it was going to happen. I was stressed that because it's been attempted so many times that it wouldn't be as good as it would have been. That was great.
We've never had one completely fall through, though, right? That I can think of.
No, I've hit my 3 strikes with a number of artists before, but
yeah.
But
no, and total goof.
That video is so good. We might have to put it up in the episode actually, because I'm gonna have to show Ryley anyways. Jordan Klassen, check out his latest record, which we just learned is part 1 of.
There's gonna be a part 2,
which is really, really exciting.
Which I like that. Like, double albums are kind of a thing of the past, right? Has anybody released a double album?
Coed and Cambria,
like in the. Well, that would make sense. But
I mean,
how recently?
I think a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a band that all their music is based on comic books.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that makes sense.
That was kind of a joke that I said them. Anyways, no, I can't really think of any that. I mean, does Taylor Swift not kind of do that all the time? Anyways, interesting. Just Jordan Klassen. That's all you need. That's all you need. Shout out Jordan for hanging out, and shout out to our friends
Sawback Brewing Company, Bo's Bar and Stage, Ghost Services Inc.
and Communal Creative Studios. Producers Ryan and Ryley, very, very busy these days, still making sure we get on air. And go subscribe to the YouTube channel, because a lot of people have subscribed now, and if you haven't,
big numbers.
You are not a cool person.
You're being left out. And come back around and check it next
Wednesday.
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Bo's Bar and Stage.